Hello friends and family, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Vanessa and this channel is basically dedicated to sewing and altering clothes. That being said, I have another new sewing pattern for you today. Today I will be showing you how to make what I have called the Buffy skirts. It is a A-line style skirt that is obviously inspired by the 90s. This is also technically part 1, as I will be adding additional videos showing you how to add things like slits and even a lining. Anyways, let's jump into it. First, you will need your pattern pieces. There are two styles of patterns that you can print off. There's my color-coded style, which is available on both Etsy and my website. Or there's the layered style, which is a website exclusive. Both assembly tutorials will be linked in the description box. For this tutorial, I will be using the layered PDF style, but all the steps mentioned will apply to both. You will need a front piece, a back piece, and the waistband. Find your size by measuring your natural waist and your hips. Usually this is the narrowest part of the waist and the widest part of your hips. Because humans are beautiful creatures, we all come in different shapes and sizes. I always recommend creating a mock-up of anything you're going to sew to make sure you get the fit you want. This will save headaches later and prevent wasting more expensive fabrics. Using a medium weight fabric, cut out your pattern pieces according to the instructions on each pattern piece. For the front piece, you will cut on fold, and for the back, you will cut 2 pieces that are mirrored. You may also cut out an optional piece of iron-on interfacing for the waistband. Make sure you are also marking your darts. I personally like to do 2 cuts at the top and then mark the bottom with a pin. If using interfacing, iron that on now. Now we will start with sewing all the darts first. Take any of your pieces with darts and fold it right sides together. Line up the slits you've made at the top and then pin. Find where that bottom pin is and flatten along that line. Place a pin right where the dart ends, and then add a couple pins along the rest of the dart. If you want to make things even easier for yourself, feel free to draw a straight line connecting the top and bottom of the dart. You can use this as a guide to sew along in the next step. Starting from the top of the dart, sew a straight stitch all the way down and past the end of your dart. Like just sew right off that fabric. And then just tie off your threads. Repeat for all the rest of the darts. Once folded open, they should lay flat like this. If you have a serger or overlocker, feel free to serge all the raw edges of every piece, including your waistband. Taking your front panel, so your largest piece, lay it right side facing up. Now pin the back pieces to the front piece right sides together. You're wanting to match up the curvy edges. If you're unsure, the back dart is closest to the flattest edge of the skirt, also known as the back middle. And repeat on the other side. Straight stitch a 1.5 centimeter seam or 5/8 of an inch all along the edges you just pinned. Now you'll have one large piece that's starting to look like a skirt. Feel free to press open those seams you just sewed. Next up is attaching the waistband. If your skirt has a directional print, make sure it's facing the right way. For example, if I lay the waistband down this way and flip it up, you can see that it's going to be the wrong way. So just flip that around, and as you can see, the print is facing the right way. This is the direction I'll be pinning the waistband. Starting from one side, pin the top and the side of the waistband. This prevents it from shifting. And then moving to the other side, do the same thing. Now fold it in half and pin the middle parts together. Now continue pinning the rest of the waistband evenly. Making sure those side seams are flattened out and pinned open. If you have a really shifty fabric, you might find the skirt portion seems bigger than the waistband. This has nothing to do with your cutting skills or the pattern being off. This has everything to do with the type of fabric you're using. This will be especially obvious if only the waistband has interfacing on it. This will mainly happen with fabrics with a looser knit. I will show you 2 ways to deal with this. First up is the lazy way. Basically, you can start by pinning the waistband in the middle front, and then pinning along the edges so that the waistband and skirt lay flat. And then if you have a centimeter or 1/4 of an inch or so of overhanging skirt fabric, then you can just trim that off, making sure to trim the exact same amount all the way down the edge of the skirt. As long as this is only a small amount of fabric you're cutting off, it won't really affect the final fit too much. But if you're comfortable with manipulating fabric, I will show you how to do this the somewhat proper way while we are sewing in the next step. If everything lined up properly in the previous step, sew a 1.5 centimeter or 5/8 of an inch seam all along the edge, attaching the waistband to the skirt. If everything didn't quite line up, you're going to want to take a pair of tweezers like this. You're basically going to want to slowly guide the fabric through like this. Essentially, you're shifting the grain of the fabric back, making sure that you're not creating any sort of ruffle or crease or fold. It needs to lay flat. And yes, this will take time, but it's technically the proper way to do it. And there you go. You should have something that sort of looks like this. As you can see, there are no ripples or folds or creases along that waistband. And the inside seam looks like this. Now we will attach the hidden zipper. I like to use a zipper that is about half the length of the skirt. I usually do this by taking a longer zipper and creating a new stopper using a zigzag stitch. I go into more detail of this in my previous video. Now let's mark where the zipper will stop at the top of the skirt. If you've serged the edge or are lazy like me, fold the waistband down and line it up so that the edge is slightly past the waistband seam. And then put a marker pin in the fold. If you have not serged the edges, or want to do this the technically professional way, fold over that edge a little, iron that, and then fold it over the waistband seam, putting a marker pin where the zipper will start. Whatever you choose, make sure you do that on both sides of the waistband. Line up the top of the zipper where you've placed that pin marker, basically where the zipper teeth have been melted. Then line it up so the actual zipper is 1.5 centimeters or 5/8 of an inch away from your edge. It's basically your seam allowance. And then start pinning your zipper. Making sure the waistband seams are facing up. Once that's fully pinned, base stitch and repeat on the other side. Using a hidden zipper foot, or in my case, an adjustable zipper foot, install your zipper. With the zipper open and starting from the top of the zipper where you put those marker pins, sew all the way down as close as you can to the stopper. Then close the zipper and sew the rest of the way, stopping at or just before the zipper stop. Repeat on the other side of the zipper. Then you should have a back seam that looks like this, open at the bottom and the zipper at the top. If you haven't already, take out your base stitches. Now we will fold out the zipper so that the waistband lays flat. Then fold the top edge of the waistband over the zipper making sure it lines up a little bit past that waistband seam. Folding out the unsewn tail of the zipper. And pin. Making sure the edge of the waistband is all lined up. Repeat on the other side. Now we will sew that together along the inside edge of the zipper, making sure you don't catch the zipper teeth. Once you flip that right side out, it should look something like this. Test to make sure the zipper actually closes before repeating on the other side. Once that's done, we will finish off the waistband. Flip your skirt inside out and start folding the waistband down so that the top edge of the waistband lines up slightly past the seam that connects the waistband to the skirt. Of course, if you've done the other technique where you fold the edge, iron it, and then fold over, do that here instead. I like to start from the middle front and work my way around to the back, and then start pinning. When you get to a side seam, make sure you are pinning them open and flat. Once that's all pinned in place, open up your zipper and we will top stitch the waistband. I personally like to sew right over the top of the seam that connects the waistband to the skirt. But if that's too much of a challenge for you, you can definitely sew right along the edge of the waistband. Continue sewing all the way around, making sure you're catching the back side of the waistband. Once that's done, we will move on to the rest of the back seam. Flip your skirt inside out and zip up the zipper. Then pin the rest of that back seam together. And pin the bottom of the zipper out of the way. Now we're going to sew our seam allowance, starting as close to the zipper as possible. I like to start a couple centimeters or an inch or so before the end of the zipper. It's a lot easier to get close to the zipper if you use a smaller presser foot, or even a zipper foot. Backstitch a couple times and straight stitch a 1.5 centimeter or 5/8 of an inch seam all the way down to the hem. If you've done this right, you won't even be able to tell where the zipper ends in the back. Now we are finally onto our last step, hemming the skirt. If you haven't already done this, press open your side seams. Then start folding up the hem of the skirt by 2.5 centimeters or 1 inch, iron and then pin. Do this for the whole hem. I like to do the side seams first and then the rest in between. Once everything is ironed and pinned, all you have to do is straight stitch the bottom. Making sure to backstitch and tie off your threads. And then you're done. Now put your skirt on and take your new creation out into the wild. Well, I hope that was pretty straightforward. Obviously, any questions or concerns, definitely ask me in the comment section below. And of course, if you enjoy my videos, don't forget to like and subscribe. Plus, if you're interested in my life in South Korea, I also have another channel where I post weekly vlogs and travel vlogs, and sometimes behind the scenes of me working on these videos. Anyways, don't forget that I love you, stay true to yourself, and always fight that good fight.